Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you very much for being here today again. I hope you yesterday enjoyed very much all the sessions. It was a very nice day, intense. So thank you again for being here the first time in the morning. We hope that this second day is also really exciting for all of you, that at least as exciting as it was yesterday. For this first session of the day, we're going to address an issue that is around the ports and harbors as marine infrastructures that are critical, essential in the coastal areas, and which are also kind of facing as important challenges in face of the framework that is and of the change that is happening around their activities, right? They all this transformation process that is going on, transforming the ports as areas, as industrial areas, traditionally years ago, very close and not really connected with the cities, to now infrastructures developing very active strategies to reconnect with the areas where they are established, to align with the environmental challenges that are around that impact on the activities that the companies established within the ports need to face as well, supporting the development of a sustainable blue economy in the coastal areas. This is the challenge for today. I'm very sorry because I've just realized that I didn't introduce myself. So I'm Rosa Fernandez. I work for CETMAR. CETMAR is one, as you know, one of the co-organizing organizations of the conference. I'm in CETMAR, I'm the head of the Department for Technology, Promotion and Transfer. By training, I am an economist, but it also goes without noticing. And well, I would like to invite the first the speaker for the first presentation. It is Capucine Segan. She comes from the Brussels office of the Provence d'Alpes Côte d'Azur in France. She holds a master's degree on international relations and European projects, and is responsible for environmental, agricultural, and maritime affairs. So Capucine, please, you can take the floor. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having us and for letting me the opportunity to present you the Clean Harbor certification. So I will first give you a very brief presentation of the territory I work for. So the Région Sud Provence-Alpes-Côte d'Azur is located in the southeast of France, and it is surrounded by the Mediterranean Sea. And we have 147 marinas, so a very large capacity for boating activities, which can explain the initiative I will present you the next slide. So the Clean Harbor certification was initiated in 2001 by the regional authorities and with partners like the ADEME, which is a Directorate for Ecological Transition in France, the Water Agency, the French states, and the Union for Marinas in PACA region and Monaco. And the aim, was to create a common approach to promote the actions that improve the environmental quality of the harbors and preserve the maritime area. And it really reflects the desire of the marina managers to make concrete commitments to fight for the preservation of aquatic environments and the sustainable development of coastal and marine activities. It became a French norm in 2009, and in 2012, a European certification, since it has been used by other member states, and it concerns marinas, seaports, river and lake ports, dry ports, fishing ports, commercial ports, and mixed ports. But it was first designed for marinas and small fishing ports. So how does it work? In fact, prior obtaining the certification, the port managers need to implement the clean harbor approach in 5 steps. So what are these 5 steps? First, there is an environmental studies, diagnosis studies, which is done by an independent engineering office, and it consists in 3 phases. So the first one is an exhaustive inventory of the ports in terms of equipments, facilities, the way the harbor is organized in terms of sewage collections, carrying water collections, stormwater treatment, collection of hydrocarbons, sanitary box, collection of fried oil used by the restaurants located on the marina. So it's a very large inventory. Then there is a gradation of the sources of pollution that are both emitted by the port's activities and suffered from the outside activities. And based on that, a plan of action is written with the aim to improve the environmental protection by specifying the infrastructures and facilities that must be developed and also the communication policies that must be implemented by the port managers. The second point is that the port managers need to develop the infrastructures to tackle the pollution and to reduce both the solid and liquid wastes. So for instance, that will be an equipment for carrying water, special and household waste and sewage collection, etc. But it depends on the mariners. The third point is that the port manager must implement the means to fight accidental pollutions and to save water and energy. So for instance, that will be equipping the marina with an oil slick containment boom closing to the entrance of the port. Also, with this approach, there is a training course open to the marina staff, and the marina staff must complete this program before applying to the certification. And last but not least, there is also an obligation to raise awareness of port users by communicating on this. So for instance, giving information during the marina, to the marina users during the port meetings, to make everyone know that you are involved in this process. And in Région Sud, this action can be financed for a part by the regional authorities and by the partners. So for instance, the diagnosis is financed for 80%, and the investments in infrastructures can be financed from 20% to 50%, depending on the nature of the equipment. So then, once the Clean Harbor Guidelines have been implemented, the ports may apply to the certification by passing an audit, which is done by the AFNOR in France. And sorry for that. On the day of the audit, the auditor will check whether or not the port responds favorably to an environmental quality of managing related to criteria that have been prior defined and related to the action plans that have been issued at the end of the environmental diagnosis. The certification is given for 3 years, but there are also some control audit every year. And when you have the certification, you must communicate on it by using this logo, so Port Propre on pavilion or in front of the marinas infrastructures. And now we have 67 marinas that are located in our territory and that are certified with Port Propre certification. Yep. I also wanted to talk a little bit about the complementary actions that are done by the region and its partners. So in 2018, the regional authorities and the partners initiated a new complementary certification, which is called Port Propre Actif en Biodiversité, so literally clean harbors active in biodiversity, which is now recognized as the French norm, but it's not yet a European one. It's only used in France. And the aim of this certification is to go further than the Clean Harbor one, which was more focused on pollution treatment and waste management. And this time with this certification, it is to recognize the effort of the harbor managers to act for biodiversity. So it promotes the preservation and the development of indigenous marine and terrestrial living species present in the area of the ports. So basically, it works like the Clean Harbor certification. So first, there is a 4-steps process, which comprises the biodiversity diagnosis, which leads to an action plan. And then the harbor manager need to improve the biodiversity equipment and environmental practices to subscribe the marina staff to a special training and to communicate about that. Once it is done, so there is still an audit made by the AFNOR to give or not a certification for 3 years with an every year control audit. Another perspective for us is to make the Clean Harbor internationally recognized. So the Union for Marinas in the Région PACA and the AFNOR have submitted an application to the International Standards Committee for the Tourism Industry in order to convert the Clean Harbors certification into ISO standards. And we expect the results for June 24. So yeah, fingers crossed we will manage. And then in 2015, the region still in collaboration with the Union for Marinas in the region, drafted a charter for the marinas and fishing ports to rally into a common vision all of the seaports managers of the PACA region. So this is a voluntary-based charter, which is more global than the certifications I told you about, because the aim is to promote the strategic role of ports in sustainable regional development. So therefore, the charter embraces economic, social, and environmental aspects. And also by signing this charter, the managers undertake to start the process of being certified as clean harbors and clean harbors active for biodiversity. So the aim is also to use this charter to promote the 2 previous certifications. Yeah, that's pretty it. If you need more information, please visit the website. There is an English translation, so you're better to understand. And if you have some questions, don't hesitate, but you also have my name. It's not my everyday subject, so I might not have the answer directly, but I will make the connection between my colleagues and you and come back to you as soon as I can. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I don't need it. We can.
Thank you very much, Capucine. It's very interesting. And as you were saying, if there are questions, I would encourage you all to start thinking about the questions, because we would really like some of you coming to use the empty chair option for to express your questions here with us, right? So now we are going to leave the floor to Gerardo González from the Port Authority of Vigo. Gerardo is a civil engineer by the University of A Coruña. He's the head of projects and works division for the Port Authority of Vigo, involved in marine infrastructures related projects, port city development projects, and biosustainable infrastructures. I think Gerardo will also tell us a few of the good experiences you have had here in Vigo about how to boost and promote these sort of transformation processes that we would then like to discuss about. Thank you very much.
Buenos días, bos días, good morning. Thank you, Rosa, and thank you everyone for being here. As Rosa said, I'm the head of the Projects and Works Division at the Port of Vigo. So being a civil engineer, I ask you to accept my apologies. So I'm going to present the Living Ports project, which is a project that we're very proud of. First of all, I would like to say that all the actions and projects that we're promoting from the Port of Vigo are led by our blue growth strategy. So we obviously want to be a green port, a connected port, an innovative port, and an inclusive port. And following those objectives of the blue growth strategy will make us a more sustainable and efficient port, and in all our operations and facilities and services. So we keep these ideas in mind all the time. The Living Ports project was our aim of transforming gray infrastructures into blue or green infrastructures, whatever you want to call it. That is, usually marine infrastructures and port infrastructures are built with traditional concrete, which is toxic for the environment in general words, and obviously destroys existing habitats. And we wanted to transform that using nature-based solutions. So we wanted to use a new concrete mix and a new 3D outer shape of the materials to create new infrastructures. The concrete that we are using is a new mix with additives that bioenhance its capacities. So the new concrete is a nice substrate for the development of life, and also these 3D shapes on the outer face facilitate the fixation of life. The project was designed and split in two locations. First one is the Portocultura Basin, which is really close to where we are now. It's no more than 10 minutes walking from here. You'll have the opportunity to visit it at some point during the afternoon or maybe tomorrow. And the second location is the outer breakwater of the Bouzas Ro-Ro terminal, which is the far end of the port, is the closest area to the entrance to the bay. For the first location, the project includes the installation of 300 square meters of seawall panels. That is, seawall panels are rectangular panels built with this new concrete and with these new shapes that are attached to the quay wall. We installed two different finishes. These 3D shapes, there were two different finishes to see which one of them develops more life. And also we installed traditional concrete panels to compare the development of these new habitats. The installation in this first location is completed with an observation platform, which is integrated by floating pontoons plus an underwater observatory that I will explain later. And in the second location in Bouzas, we dismantled part of the outer breakwater, the outer layer of the breakwater with the big rocks. We dismantled that and we installed concrete blocks with a special shape with a kind of a small pool on them. So in the tidal cycles, the water is retained in those pools, and we create small new habitats. Sorry, I forgot something really important, and is the consortium is integrated by 4 companies, 4 members. It's the Port Authority of Vigo, E-Concrete, which is an Israeli company that developed the solutions for the concrete mix and also for the 3D shapes. And these days we are kind of worried about them, obviously. Cardama Shipyards, which is a local shipyard that designed and built the observatory, and also DTU, Technical University of Denmark. They are doing all the monitoring works for the project. One of our main concerns for this project was that we didn't want to do any kind of greenwashing. We wanted to demonstrate that this is something real. So me being a civil engineer, I was a little bit skeptical about the results. But the reality that we're seeing and the results that DTU are monitoring and all the data they are gathering demonstrate that this really works. We're obtaining great results. We also wanted to demonstrate part of the structural results for this, and for the time being, the results are being great. And also, another result that we are obtaining with good results is in the Bouzas breakwater. the behavior of these elements with these coastal logs that you see here, this element, are behaving really well against the waves and currents. We are using some precision topography to control the movements, and nothing has happened yet. They were installed in January, so we've had several storms and quite a long period, and nothing has happened yet, so we are happy with the results. In this image, you can see several images of the new habitats, the new habitat creation, seawall panels, the coastal logs in both us, and these are part of the results that we are obtaining. We are duplicating biodiversity. We are obtaining a ratio of native versus invasive species of 3:1, retaining more organic biomass. And this is quite interesting, the reduction of noise pollution from vessel engines by 50%. This is also something that we are monitoring in the project. And on the structural part, we are seeing that we meet or exceed international construction standards. There is a lower chloride penetration due to that new habitat on the surface that blocks the entrance of the chlorides. And in the end, we have a longer lifespan of the structure. So the underwater observatory that I was mentioning before, this is a great tool for the scientists and for our colleagues from DTU. The observatory is no more than a floating pontoon with an underwater room. It moves with the tides, obviously, but you are always underwater. And it has two big windows, one facing the quay wall, another one facing the basin, so the ocean in the end. And it's very interesting because you are not watching an aquarium. It's the ocean. And it's amazing the amount of biodiversity that we get there. And we are very surprised whenever we go there and we see that we have that amount of biodiversity in the city because it's an urban basin. So as I said, it's a great tool for the project. But more than any other thing, and going back to the blue growth strategy, we wanted to boost or promote that port city interface. And this is the great thing about the project. The observatory is a really nice area for leisure and dissemination, to bring kids from schools, to bring people from the city, and to let them know the richness of our ocean and the biodiversity that we have. It's a great tool to show them why Vigo is what it is with our industry, fishing industry, the shipbuilding industry, everything. It's amazing, and kids really enjoy these visits. With the personnel working in the observatory, our colleagues from the observatory, they are passionate about the job. They explain things really well, and the kids enjoy the visits a lot, and also the adults. But I'm focusing on the kids because this is something that they won't forget. I will show you a really short video with the chronology of the project that will help you understand the whole thing. This is how we imagined the project at the beginning, the rendered video. Well, the observatory is quite similar to what we finally built, but this is the original idea. You see the casting of the seawall panels and the coastal logs, then how we installed them in both us, which was quite complicated. It was during the winter. Installation of seawall panels, launching of the observatory. It was really exciting. Our president. And this is the final installation in Puerto Cultura. Also, all the monitoring works with installation of the cameras. Our friends from DTU have wonderful videos of the results. See, this is the coastal logs in both ends. Also, one of the finishes, the visits, you see the kids, Elisa, our colleague, she's really good explaining things. You see, we are the animals, and the fish watched us inside the observatory. We had over 30,000 visits since the opening of the observatory. That was around March, I think. So we think we've achieved a really good result in that blue growth strategy and that port city integration. So Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Gerardo. Now I would like to invite to join us to Professor Laura Airoldi, Julie Olivier, and Evelyn Paredes, which are the panelists that will accompany come to the panel discussions for the second part of the session. Professor Laura Airoldi is professor in ecology and director of the EuroMarine Center of Padova University. She is a new invited member of the European Academy of Sciences, recognized as one of the forerunners of the new field of marine urban ecology and coastal eco-engineering. We will know more about what this means later on. Also, we have with us Julie Olivier. Julie is a science policy officer at the project management ULIC in Germany. Represents Germany in the Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership, and has a relevant experience, important experience in science policy, business, society interface that we've been talking already a lot about during the sessions yesterday. We also have with us Evelyn Paredes Corral. Evelyn is a PhD candidate at the Ghent University. I think she said yesterday she's about to read her doctoral thesis right now. She has a background in training and skills development for the maritime professionals, studying connections between maritime workers and the ocean, to how it translates into sustainable practices, right? So she also has studied the issues around ocean literacy, how this influences the changes in behavior of the people, etc., etc. As said at the for the introduction of this session, we are looking in this panel at, as the previous speakers have showed, practical experiences on how this transformation process is occurring at the port facilities, how they are embracing the transformation process to promote biodiversity protection, to connect with society, conduct to them and convey to them the messages about how relevant it is to transform also our behaviors as individuals, and also, I guess, and I will ask something about this, also to transform the activities and the behaviors and the relationship the different blue economy sectors have with the environment where they operate, right? And how to make this transformation process also visible for the society, I guess. Also to not just to transform your own activities, but also to serve as good practices for other agents, for other activities. I think that these sort of experiences are also influenced and very well aligned with the framework policies, such as, for example, the challenges of posed by the ocean decade about protecting and restoring the ecosystems and biodiversity, increasing with this the resilience of the coastal communities towards the hazards and the impacts from global change, for example. And also the European Mission Ocean's objective of making the blue economy carbon neutral and circular in line with the European climate law, very specifically pursuing the development of zero carbon and low impact activities. Aquaculture, for example, is one of them, but many others also, which are present also or core activities for the stakeholders in your facilities, right? So I would like to start the discussion with a question directed to Professor Laura Airoldi. Laura, please, can you explain for us and for the audience what is marine urban ecology and coastal eco-engineering, and how can this new approach within science contribute to make the ports activities and the ports infrastructures more sustainable?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me here to this very interesting session. I was fascinated by the work presented by the people before me. So marine urban ecology is a complex multidisciplinary science that focuses on understanding the biodiversity associated and the ecosystem functioning of marine areas that are strongly embedded within an urban context. I personally started working on these topics many years ago when we were leading an EU project that was aiming at designing more sustainable coastal defense structures such as breakwaters. And at the time, the common view was that these structures were more or less like rocky shore, but our view was different. They were building. And therefore, we also started learning a lot about and reading about books on terrestrial urban ecologies. And there we realized that all these books and theories about urban ecology never dealt with the sea. So the sea was seen as something that is separated. And that is surprising because in reality, half of the world population lives in cities and megacities that are in deltas and coastal areas. And so really, these cities are sprawling. They have run out of space on land and they're sprawling their infrastructure into the sea. And it's really important that we understand how this environment works. Also because the amount of space that now can be defined as urban is increasing in the sea. And our estimates suggest that there are about at least 2 million square kilometers of marine sea bottoms that are permanently modified by marine infrastructure, and that can be classified as urban or peri-urban. And this is more or less equivalent to 1.5% of the coverage of the global coverage of the economic exclusive zones. And how about eco-engineering? Well, eco-engineering is an associated science. It's again very multidisciplinary. It involves various disciplines and a strong collaboration between ecologists, engineers, companies, social scientists, and economists to try to design more sustainable urban development. And in the past, there really was not much thinking about that. It was just, well, let's build something efficient and cheap. It's below the water, we don't see that. And now the attitude has changed. And as we see, there is really this water sensitive development and attempts to build a structure that are active and that help move conservation closer to where people live and where the impacts to marine ecosystem has been the greatest. And we are also involved in similar projects, like, for example, developing materials that are like more active for promoting marine life, target marine life, and that they have a lower carbon footprint, and that, for example, recycle waste from local fishery economy, so in a circular blue economy in the area. So
thank you, Laura. Before we move to the next panelist, I was thinking I would like to direct a specific question to Gerardo and Capuchin also, that relates to what Laura has just said. And I was wondering that how far you are perceiving or detecting that with your activities, you're not just having an impact that in the citizenship around the coastal, the port area, but also within the same port infrastructure in relation to the stakeholders that operate there, the different companies, the different sectors that are present within the ports. Are you kind of permanently interacting with them and promoting with them activities that they get really engaged in? How do you perceive that this change is kind of going through the port to the port stakeholders directly?
Yeah, no, I'm not sure about the answer, but yeah, we're constantly in cooperation with the actors that are located on the ports to promote best practices and to involve them into the transformation. I don't know, like by organizing a meeting and to asking them what they think, what are their needs to adapt the transformation of the port to what they are looking for.
Thank you.
Yeah, in our case, what we see that is that there is a really good response from our stakeholders, but it needs some teaching. I mean, they interact with us. We tell them that we are doing things that are good for the city, and first response is, "Ooh, this is gonna be bothering my activity." But then you explain things, you let them know that it's not gonna. It's just a question of adjusting and tweaking the activities, and they're going to get better results, and the city is going to be happier with them. For example, I'm going to give for me, it's really easy to explain this because we are in our port, and I know what we're doing here, and you can see it. All the seafront was blocked by the port, so the city didn't have access to the sea. And we've been working on opening this interface between the city and the port by building shared platforms for bicycles, for pedestrians, and we have now a softer interface. In the beginning, some of the companies inside the port area, the industries inside, were complaining about the reduction of their space, their available space for their activities. Now they see that their activities are working the same as before, and people is happier. So our projects and our actions are improving in general the blue economy of our hinterland.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there is an issue about reputation also related to that?
Obviously, the perception changes a lot when we take actions to improve the quality of life of the citizens. They perceive it and they evaluate a lot.
Thank you. And Evelyn, this question goes for you. I would like to know about your research activities. What were your main findings about the connection between the blue economy workforce and the ocean? What would you say about that?
Thanks, Rosa, and good morning, everybody. Yes, I'm happy to share some of the results from almost 4 years of research. I wanted to understand the connection between maritime workers and the ocean. Seems very evident because they spend most of their days and their life next to the ocean, but I wanted to assess these interactions. So I focus on ocean literacy approaches, and some of you may wonder what is ocean literacy. So basically is the understanding of how the ocean impacts in our life and how we with our actions may impact the ocean. So I apply this approach to the workers in the blue economy, including those working at ports. So I wanted to see and to measure and quantify these levels of ocean literacy. We designed and we tested a survey in order to quantify the levels, and using marine sciences and social sciences techniques, we were able to uncover very relevant factors related to ocean literacy that were pertinent to the blue economy. For example, we found that knowledge about the ocean, attitudes, behaviors, and personal interests were very relevant for these people working in different sectors of the blue economy. And some industry-related factors, such as the sector of the blue economy, the region, and the occupation of the workers, also affect these levels of ocean literacy. For example, workers from emerging sectors, let's say offshore wind, they reported to have higher levels of knowledge about the ocean compared to those working for traditional sectors such as maritime transport. There are other factors like socio-demographics as well, in which age was important for ocean literacy levels. We found, surprisingly, that older generations of maritime workers reported more positive behaviors compared to young ones, which for me was very surprising. Besides those results, we also found that for certain groups of maritime workers, good levels of knowledge or good knowledge about the ocean not necessarily translated into positive behaviors. So overall, what these results wants to tell us is like, still this blue economy population is very complex, and we shouldn't treat them all the same. They are not the same. We need to be careful when providing trainings, when promoting initiatives for best practices, for example. They are a very complex group, and we need to identify better ways to characterize these groups. Thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn. And have you investigated a bit more about the reasons for these findings that were a bit surprising to you, about why different activities would show that there is a higher or lower level of knowledge, or why different population structure could kind of behave also differently and have different levels of knowledge, and that knowledge is not always a direct and principal driver for behavior. What have you found about that?
Yes, of course, what I can talk is about the sample that I had. I cannot generalize for the entire population, but it's interesting still. Our findings, they suggest that older generations of workers, they spend, of course, more time at sea. They gather more experiences and a long-lasting connection with the ocean, and that may explain also the higher and the positive behaviors that they report. On the other hand, when we talk about the sectors, we are more and more hearing about these emergent sectors, ocean energy, tidal waves, and they, of course, are characterized by workers with a higher level of education, most of them with university degrees, higher technical education. So these can be related with the level of knowledge that they report, because they report more knowledge, but not necessarily more positive behaviors. That's we have to be careful. So we associate the higher levels of education with those higher levels of knowledge.
Thank you very much, Evelyn. Unfortunately, I would like to know more and you to share with all of us in the audience about the Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership. How do you think it will involve boards and hubs around the blue economy and the blue economy concepts and challenges at the moment?
Thank you for the invitation, for the presentations too, and good morning, everyone. The Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership, it is a cooperation instrument under Horizon Europe. 60 partners for now from the EU and beyond, ministries, research institutes, and the European Commission. based on a healthy ocean. We have a vision of a climate neutral, sustainable, productive and competitive blue economy, and we leverage research and innovation for the transformation. So we engage with sciences, society, business, policy to deliver impact-driven solutions towards a just and inclusive transition. And we are still quite new. With our first joint transnational call, we started with Blue Bio, with multi-use, marine spatial planning and ocean observation in support of a digital twin of the ocean. Designing smart and green ports is definitely on our agenda. We see ports as strategic hubs of the blue economy. Von der Leyen said, if the port of Rotterdam is doing well, Europe's economy is doing well. So with this spillover effect, as regional clusters, ports are catalysts of the green revolution. But where do we start shaping? So facing this huge task, the partnership also characterizes by humility. So that's why we're also really grateful for the invitation today in our process of identifying priorities. We are delighted to be part of the discussion also because we have this co-design approach. We are eager to learn. And the partnership is defining other cooperation activities, for instance, between marine research infrastructure. We also foster synergies with other initiatives. For instance, we shall be officializing enhanced cooperation with the waterborne technology platform next week to tackle not only the decarbonization of the shipping industry, but also of the fishing fleet. And we also see cooperation with the Driving Urban Transition Partnership as key towards smart port cities. Cooperation, it's also across sea basins. So member states ensure strategic alignment of priorities beyond regional specificities. But tourism, ocean-based energy production, coastal and underwater heritage, military aspects, the European port landscape is very diverse. So the port of Vigo, of Marseille, of Tallinn, each of them is unique, but all is connected. So we promote a coordinated approach. And there are also huge disparities. Out of more than 1,000 ports, only 18 concentrate more than a quarter of all EU port call activities. Large ports have sustainability roadmaps, while smaller ones often lag behind on digitization because of a lack of resource. So which skills do we promote to ensure that we have a democratic process, that no one is left behind? Which regulatory framework do we need to ensure jobs and our competitive edge as well on the global stage? And for us, of course, the question, research questions for ports towards energy hubs, towards clusters of circular bio-based economies. So maybe we'll start with collecting and integrating more data to map this port landscape and monitor, assess, model their activities and their impact, environmental impact on ecosystems. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Julie. I would also like to, connecting with what you have said and all the other speakers, I would like you to share your experiences or your perspectives on how far you are involving, especially those of you that are more directly, let's say, within the ports realm, within the ports activities by themselves, in this infrastructure, in the entities. How far you are not just using or embedding science in your initiatives, but also how far you are thinking about how you can contribute to science from your infrastructures. Are you exchanging data? Because I guess that all these processes, all these initiatives that you're carrying out, you're monitoring and studying, establishing likely the baseline for these activities. Is there any initiative in this regard that you would like to share and you think could be inspiring for the future?
Yes, so the partnership has a this co-design approach, and it's not only multi-sectoral but also transdisciplinary. We actually had organized a workshop last week entitled "Towards a Just and Inclusive Sustainable Blue Economy with a Legal, Human and Social Perspective." And we had really strong cases for holistic framing for the integration of the work field of anthropologists, of ethics, of behavioral studies, for the transformation, for instance, of coastal tourism. So we're talking about more than 50% of EU blue economy jobs, and this connection, so this is connected to ports, to airports too, by the way. We, what about the rights of seafarers? How do we ensure that they are not left behind? Yes. Yes, thanks.
Thank you. Gerardo, please.
Yeah, sorry. Although the port of Vigo is a medium-sized port in the port system in Spain, most of you know that we've had a pretty strong sustainable strategy for a long time, and we are, I wouldn't say a reference, but we are leading this blue growth strategy in the port system in Spain. And having that in mind, it's true that the decarbonization objectives are something that we're worried about. So, for example, we've developed a tool to help the companies, the industries working in the port environment to calculate their carbon footprint, and also to provide them with solutions for the use of renewable energies in their activities. So that is something that we try to help. In the end, it's the result of that tool is going to benefit us as a port, but we're helping also these industries to improve their operations, to reduce their costs. So it's something that we can contribute to the port environment. Also, we have some projects going on where we collaborate with private companies, for example, to improve operations in the container terminal or in the Ro-Ro terminal, always trying to maximize the productivity while reducing the use of energy. So it's our small contribution for the environment to help our stakeholders.
Thank you. Laura?
If I can add, there has also been for many years ongoing a global initiative. That's the World Harbor Project. That's a big network, a global network involving more than 30 ports that really try to share understanding and knowledge and to deal with common problems that had to do with the quality of environments, pollution problems, eco-engineering. I was one of the co-coordinators of this big eco-engineering working group, multiple stressors in harbors, another important element, and communication and outreach. Harbors often are where most of the people experience the sea. So it's very interesting there. For example, their example where really work in the harbor is used also to reconnect the city to its own marine system. And our experience of sharing and also running common tests globally was that we now have some broad understanding about some common issues and factors that control, for example, biodiversity in ports. But we are now also far more aware that, for example, there may be not a one solution fits all. And for example, some of the tests we made with some materials in some ports performed greatly, in others, for example, they were not particularly effective. And also the perception of the people of the value and importance behind was very variable. So these are really socio-ecological complex system, and you need to study both things. And so now I think we really have to work to be able to design and adapt each solution to the local socio-ecological landscape and really fit each project for that, even if we have common understanding and principles.
Thank you very much, Laura. Now that you, sorry, please
No,
go ahead.
It doesn't work. Yeah, it does.
Yes, it works. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to react of what Laura just said. I think it's important to create some common guidelines, but large enough to allow each port to develop itself in relation of the needs of the local needs. And this is what we are trying to do with the certifications. Like we have common baseline, but it's large enough to be adapted to the local situation.
Sure.
Yes, I just wanted to to react on the previous comments, saying that we look also at this interface between the city and the port, but we shouldn't forget about people working at port. And this, when we manage a port, we also think about those human dimensions that are part of the port. Don't forget about them. And I believe that it's very important to consider their interests as well, their perceptions, emotions, and this whole social component as well, with the ecological component from the port as well, and include this approach in the trainings. It's very important because, as we all agree, they need to improve the trainings, but it has to be targeted to the specific people working at ports. And it will depend as well on which region, which European region are they. Training should be addressed differently.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Evelyn. I would like to ask for you in the audience, if anyone would like to come and make a comment or a question. Sheila, please. Okay. Luis? Oh, sorry. You please, Luis, introduce yourself first. And
well, my name is Luis Valdez. I am an oceanographer working actually currently in the Spanish Institute of Oceanography in Santander. I have one question for you. You know that the Ballast Water Convention entered in force in 2017, so 6 years ago. And do you have any example of ports around Europe that are implementing the Ballast Water Convention in a proper way? Because biodiversity and invasive species is one of the key issues in terms of biodiversity. And you mentioned that you have a ratio of invasive species and natural species of 3.2 to 1. And I mean, this is one of the things that I think that the ports authorities has to take into account in terms of preventing biodiversity entering in waters outside where they are.
Sadly, I cannot answer your question because that's not my specialty. I know that we have controls over that, but it's my colleague Alberto probably the one who could answer that. I could talk to you about the technologies that the vessels are using for that. And I know that we have companies here in Vigo developing systems that meet that 99% of cleaning the ballast water before they drop it to the sea. So I know that we have the technology, but I don't know the results here in Vigo. If you want, I could just provide you with that answer later.
thank you. More comments? Yeah.
It's also not my topic and it's not my expertise, but if I can add, at the time, the port of Ravenna contacted us in some way because they wanted to have a clue of what was leading in the port. Can you hear? Okay. They wanted to know what was living in the port, and that knowledge is often not available, or it's a major research gap, for example, in many ports, probably because marine science has focused a lot more on what is perceived as natural than in these environments. And this was seen as a major gap, for example, for implementation of laws like the ballast water one. So that also highlights some of the gaps that we need to deal with.
Thank you, Laura.
Sorry, if maybe our president can answer the question better than any one of us, because it's his topic.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I'm Carlos Botana, the President of Puerto Vigo, and pass the co. Okay, yes. Hello, I'm Carlos Botana, the President of Puerto Vigo, and in the past, listen to me? Yes, and in the past, the head of the sustainability department and the blue economy department. Yes, okay, perfect. Repeat the same. I'm Carlos Botana, President of the Puerto Vigo, and in the past, the head of the Sustainability Department and the Blue Economy Department in the Puerto Vigo in the last 21 years. The last water and the problem of this species for the port, it is very important because there are very important traffic. Now we have in two lines. We have one line is to identify the possibility to new species that are in the port area. All the vessels come to the Puerto Vigo. It is necessary to change the water in the international water. It depends the area come to the port. And now we study the possibility because the climate change, it is a very important thing for the new species. And for the reason, the idea is to monitorize the situation. In the second thing, the Living Port project, in our opinion, it is a very good project in two lines: to detect new species, but if you have a very good biodiversity, local biodiversity, it's a very good barrier to don't introduce the new species. I think this is the two lines we are working in these things. In our case, there are regular lines with other ports. For this, so it is easy to identify this problem. Now, a lot of vessels have treatment system with certification, but we are obligated to send the analysis of the water to identify there are problems, because this is a bay, there are a national park, there are fishing activity for this. For us, it is a very important thing, and it is necessary to work together with the university, the different research centers, the MA, EIM, and to work together and to identify the problem. But now in Spain, Puerto Las Palmas, Bilbao, other ports, or Barcelona, we have a very important line to identify this problem and to work together. But the big problem is the climate change, the problem of the temperature of the water, and now the new species is not only for the vessel, it is possible to go for the new currents and for this situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. So, thank you very much. Sheila, now, I don't know. Okay. Please come. Elisabetta, please. You can use that microphone over there.
Elisabetta Balzi from the European Commission, and on behalf of the European Mission on Restore Our Ocean and Waters, I would like to thank you, congratulate you, because ports are key actors for our mission. So I was really, it was marvelous to see the examples that you presented this morning, the Port of Vigo. Congratulations, really a model example, perfectly in line with our mission. The initiative of Port Props also, it's a great initiative, gathering several ports, really in line with the principle of our mission that I will present shortly after. What I wanted to say is that it's very important for our mission, sorry, our key actors. It's very important that we are building this community of ports. There are already several who are participating in our charter. The charter is a way of gathering our communities all together. So I would like to invite you also to participate in this charter and join with your actions that you already presented today. I wanted also to say that we are preparing several initiatives to support the ports, from the small to the medium to the large ports, also to provide assistance, particularly also to the small and the medium ports. So we have several actions in the pipeline to support these activities, and in line with what you presented, so the port with the cities, with the participation of the citizens, and in the local context, as you were rightly saying, we need to adapt the solutions to the local context. There is not one size fits all. So many thanks, and please remain with us, get on board, and we will work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Elisabetta.
Good. Thank you. So my name is Thorsten Kiefer. I'm from JPI Oceans, that Niall McDonough explained yesterday. Yeah, fascinating session. So thank you very much. And I'm very happy also that marinas were actually mentioned as the kind of the mini ports, and with also with opportunities. So my question is, and Gerardo mentioned monitoring also, so which is necessary to double check or to control whether ports are really proper or clean or whatever. Is there a consistent or a systematic monitoring and observing in ports and marinas, organized with some certain standards and so on? And do these data flow into accessible databases?
Yeah, I can answer for the marinas. So I don't think we have the same tools and the same opportunities than the big ports. Of course, we don't have the same financing system, but I think there are still some studies done, like to check whether the ports, I don't know how the water is going, etc. But I'm really not a specialist. But with the certification, we have also like a control audit every year that can check if the port is aligned in the objectives of sustainable transformation and development. But I'm not sure if I give it.
Yes, hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
No. Okay, so sorry. So yes, we do measure, as part of our Blue Growth strategy, we do measure with a consistent methodology certain KPIs, and those KPIs are updated and accessible through our website. So it's something that everyone can take a look at, and we are certain. Well, we follow all of them, but we have certain objectives that are more critical than other ones. So yes, there is a methodology. Yes, there are results, and yes, we see the evolution a long time. And I guess that most sports will end up joining that methodology that some of us are already using. We use it for ourselves. I mean, we have it accessible for everyone, but we use it to make sure that we are going the right way in the decarbonization objectives, in sustainability in general, in integration, in connectivity. But you are asking if we are sending that data anywhere to make sure that, well, no, not at the moment, but we should integrate all the ports in a network that would control that the results are consistent.
Maybe I can talk also a little bit about the Italian experience. At the moment, Italy has big national project that is devoted also, among other aims, to map in some way all the biodiversity around the Italian coast, integrating several tools like traditional tools and emerging new tools for monitoring. And part of the work is also being devoted to monitor, for example, biodiversity in ports. And we think it's very important to try also to integrate different methods, because often with ports there is problems with accessibility, permitting to sample, low visibility, that, for example, not everywhere there is such a good visibility. I just came from sampling some of the ports and the visibility can be 0 centimeters, okay? So you don't use a video camera, but we are trying to integrate really different methods, and we hope in the future to come up with some kind of comparison of which methods are able to describe what. We also try really, for example, also to measure ecosystem functions and some services which are not commonly measured, like using benthic metabolism and things like that. So we will let you know. We are just finished sampling now, and it will take some time to analyze the samples.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Thorsten. I think we still have. No? Hi, Jill. Please.
Thank you very much for these nice talks, and to see how you're engaged for preserving the biodiversity, especially in ports. We know that it's quite difficult, and there's a lot of concern about ports, even in marinas, even in France. And for the moment, we cannot do anything without ports, and this is a part of the life. And since humanity has been looking at the sea, they are always traveling on the sea, so we need the port for the moment. So the question is, we've been talking a lot about the biodiversity. I would like to know how 2 engagements have been taken, one in the port of Vigo. What about the electrification of the port? Because we are talking that in France, especially with the new area ports where we want to electrify them and try to avoid this pollution by the CO2 and so on when the vessels are there. This is my first question. Second question, when you look here on the top, you have 2 factory fishing ships who are, I think, repaired for anti-fouling. So they are protected. And the question is, how do you manage now the pollution due to this new entrance in the sea? Are you any work with the University of Vigo and the research centers to see if we can use different type of chemicals entrance who are less impacting the oceans? And I will have a questions for you in the marina. So you talk about a lot the certification. I would like to know what is the work of the Région Sud with all the boatings who are anchoring in area where they are destroying this Lyophilia or this important underground, because all the tourists, they believe that the sailing, they don't harm the environment, on their sailing boat, but in fact they have a huge impact. and especially from freshwater coral. And I use that because Evelyn Paredes, you have a nice name, it's coral. So I hope we will preserve the coral. So it's just have fun with your name. Sorry about that, but it's a very nice name. When you have the coral in your name, you have really to be in the environment. So first question for the Port of Vigo, second question for the Region Sud. Thank you. Sorry for my long question.
Okay, thank you. So electrification, that is obviously a hot topic right now for ports. We've been working for a long time with solar plants, with photovoltaic plants. We have several installed in the port. We're trying to produce as much, to be as self-sufficient as possible. But obviously that is not enough for the OPS technology in the future. We have, for example, the auction hall for the lonja where we sell fish, fresh fish. We've installed a new refrigerating plant, which is much more powerful than the one we had before. So to complement that installation, we install a new photovoltaic plant, and we are reducing the overall consumption with a much more powerful equipment. We are reducing consumption by 15%, which is quite a lot. But thinking about OPS in the future, it's important to understand that Vigo is not a big port, so we have quite a lot of traffic from cruise vessels, but you need 16 megawatts for the 2 berths in the cruise terminal, for example. The infrastructure needed to create that connecting point is massive and really, really expensive. So we have to find the funding, design the solution, develop it, build it, and it's quite a long process. It's not just sorry, it's not something that's going to happen tomorrow. We are starting with the container terminal, which is a lower demand point. I think with 6 megawatts will solve the problem, but it's something that we'll have to do a long time. Probably this in Barcelona is they are ahead of us, and obviously Rotterdam and other ports, but we need to adapt to our economy. We also have another projects with windmill and things like that, but step by step. Then with regards to the operations of the floating vessels, we only allow very minor interventions in the vessels. Most of the works that they need to do, they have to go to the shipyard. So if there is something happening right now there, it has to be really minor. Most of the vessels that are docked here in Orilla Mar are vessels that come from Maldives, and they have 2 campaigns along the year. So right now they are waiting for the next campaign, which will, I don't think they'll start until Christmas. That's not also my area of work, but I think they'll wait until Christmas to leave. So as I said, only very minor interventions are allowed while floating. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, we collaborate a lot with the university. We have a very direct connection with the university, with Campus do Mar. They are present here, and we try to, for example, the Living Ports project that we presented today. It's part of an overall strategy called Peiraos de Solpor, which had 3 legs, and the first leg was called Puerta al Mar. This was a project where we first tried the nature-based solutions, and it was a design and a development created by the University of Vigo. So yeah, we have a very direct connection, and we try to test all their designs and solutions and new technology. So it's
and so concerning the actions of the Region Sud for boating activity, so I know we are trying to promote some new types of boating activities that are less pollutant, but I honestly don't have enough background to give you some concrete projects, but I will give you further information once I get back. Yeah, sure. Sorry for that.
Just a comment, sorry about that. I think it's with all you are doing at Vigo, I think you are one of the good candidates to sign the charter, if you have not done yet, the charter of the mission Ocean and Waters, because the port activity is very important in the mission. And in fact, the mission is incentive, and we need all the actors. And I think the Vigo port authorities, with all you have done and shown, is a really good actors that have to be involved. So this is something you can is not binding. It's only what you are doing can help other port activities to put that in place and help you to go in the future, especially for electrification, for instance. That could be good collaboration among Europe. So I'm trying to be advocating for the European Commission, and after I think we need a lot of help from Europe for developing this type of activity to bring the port as you started to do. And congratulations for all the work you have done. And sorry for I've been so long. So I always when I take the floor, you have to stop me.
No worries. Thank you. We have, I think, 10 minutes, well, 9 minutes left already. So I think there are two last questions by the moment. I think we have time for two. Let's wait and see if we have a few minutes for more. Thank you. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Samantha. I work for the section of ecotoxicology at the Norwegian Institute for Water Research in Oslo. So first, thank you. Very nice presentations and very nice topic. So I have actually a question comment and regarding the e-concrete, because concrete, like the classical concrete, is one of the things that release the most CO2 to the atmosphere. And then you are having a nature-based solution that actually capture CO2. So I'd like to know which material do you use, if you know the material for the concrete, and also if you exploit also this as a benefit of the alternative concrete. And if I can also ask a second question is concerning the uptake of pollutants or the engagement with the citizens and users concerning the use of the ports. If you also address these questions, for example, he said about the chemicals, if you consider discuss about awareness of using of antifouling biocides and other stuff that can be also impacting the ports.
Thank you.
So I will take care of the first question. Regarding the concrete mix or this new concrete mix that we're using, this is a patent by EuroConcrete. As I said, it's an Israeli company. They developed the concrete mix, which in the end, it's an additive. It's around 300 kilograms per cubic meter of concrete. So it's an additive, bio additive, which we don't know the mix. It's like the Coca-Cola formula. So we are reducing the amount of aggregates used in the concrete mix, and we obtain those results. But as you say, the manufacturing or the process of producing concrete or cement is quite pollutant, and we still use cement in the mix. So we are reducing our carbon footprint with the final product, but not with the production of the cement. It's a small step, not a huge step, but it's a reduction in CO2 in the end. Okay.
You also mentioned that with this, one of the things that this nature-based solutions, the use of concrete or silver plates, though it's just uptake some of the pollutants of the sea. And do you measure some only specific groups, or do you measure more effluents, or do you also measure antifouling and this also?
Actually, we are measuring inside the project, I'm saying, inside the Living Port project, we are measuring the reduction of noise, we are measuring the carbon capture, and we are measuring the growth of new habitats, but not specifically which elements we are capturing in these new elements. So I wouldn't say that we know about anti-fouling or anything like that, but outside the Living Ports project as a port, we do measure those pollutants in our basins, and actually we do regular cleaning of our basins. For example, last year, no, 2 years ago, you can see in front of the auditorium, there's a fill with just a new quay with a fill inland. To build that new quay, we had to dredge part of the basin, and we analyzed the results for the sand in the bottom. And we had some pollutants, so we had to do special treatments and confine all those dredgings inside a confined dam or coffer dam, let's say. So we do measuring and we do cleaning, but not as part of the Living Ports project.
Thank you, Julie. You wanted to also, if I may add, when we talk about restoration and biodiversity, protection, nature-based solution for conservation, I think we can also put that under the keyword resilience. When we talk about the transformation of ports, I think we need to build resilience. For instance, the COVID and the WAF showed we need to build resilience for infrastructure. So we're talking about innovative technology, smart technologies for resilient port management system. You're also talking indeed about resilience against climate change. And so that's research for coastal engineering, for nature-based solution. So actually we also talking about capacity building. And so that's we have to talk with the university to promote the skills that we need and that we will need to network and coordinate the port stakeholders, the port cities, communities. We've talked about port communities also with the mission. And there are a lot of other ways to do that. We've talked about the regeneration of waterfront. And coming from Germany, I'd like to cite the example of Hamburg, where there was this conversion of the port area toward a really attractive and open space. And it was based on the built heritage, the coastal heritage, historic heritage. So this is this local anchorage. And a few words about Dunkirk, because it is where I grew up in northern France. And because this used to be this very dark and visible, very visible, but kind of forbidden area. And now it is this beautiful space where you have beautiful architecture and which reflects housing, which reflects the sea environment, and you have museums, universities, cycling lanes, and I found that quite inspiring because it personally gives me some optimism about a brighter future. And I think when we build this community also with that aspect, there is so ownership, shared ownership of the people. And then when you have when you belong, then you also want to protect your environment and yeah, in that case our ocean.
Thank you very much, Shelley. Thank you. I think we don't have time, unfortunately, for more questions. It's already 10:29 and just we have 1 minute to, well, first, thank you all of you for your very interesting contributions to this discussion, for your presentations, and thank you also all of you making questions and making this session very alive. And well, I think many of you will still have questions on your pockets that you will be able to make during the coffee break that will start right now. I have a couple of messages to to send to you. Well, indeed, not really a couple, just one, which is very important, but it's about two things. During the breaks, you will have the opportunity, and I would like to make you all aware of this, to see the videos that are being projected. These videos are related, show you the outcomes of one of the Marine Board initiatives, the Artist in Resident initiatives, the two winners for this year. You can learn about their creations, what they have been doing. This is really a very not only nice, but very interesting pieces of art, and showing how art and science can really do something together that is not just relevant for communication, but to sensitize, to raise awareness on how important it is to consider the ocean and the science for the ocean in all the activities that we are connected with as humans. So again, thank you very much, and enjoy the break, enjoy the coffee, and in half an hour, 45 minutes, right? Half an hour. Okay, thank you.